It's Monday, December the 10th, and this is your Barbados Today Evening News Update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. The island's social partnership today zeroed in on the progress of the Barbados Economic Recovery and Transformation Program during talks at the Lloyd Erskine Sandyford Center. Chairman of the Private Sector Association of Barbados, Edward Clark, told Barbados Today the meeting was productive, noting that it examined issues surrounding the layoffs in the public sector, among other matters.
The meeting was very fruitful. We discussed the progress being made so far on the program. As you know, 2 months have gone, September and October. November's report isn't out yet, but we also discussed the progress being made and some of the issues around the layoffs. We had a fruitful discussion around that. I think we've come to consensus on what needs to be done in the future. Then we discussed, we had an update from Minister Abrahams on the sewage project, South Coast Sewage Project. We got an update on that and to get the progress and the plans going forward. In general, it was a fruitful meeting. We also discussed some of the other plans like the family program, under Mr. Lane, who has been appointed to head that mitigation unit. That we also discussed how some ways that the process, how that would work.
Shopping for some basic items could soon become cheaper for residents as government contemplates expanding the basket of goods. Word of this from Minister of Small Business, Entrepreneurship and Commerce, Dwight Sutherland, as he toured the Massey Stores supermarket in Warrens today. The basket contains close to 200 items, which should not attract the 17.5% value-added tax. Now, these items include bread and pastries, biscuit, staples, waters, pastas, mackerel, tunas, sardines, produce, vegetables, and some meat. Though not providing details or saying whether items removed would be included, once more, Sutherland suggested that the basket of goods will soon be expanded. He says his ministry will be holding discussions with key stakeholders on the matter.
That is something we would have discussed, and I mentioned to Mr. Banfield and his team that we'll be coming back to him very soon, but indeed that is a policy initiative. We will have to sit as a cabinet based on my recommendation and recommendation coming from the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs that will go to cabinet shortly.
Minister Sutherland was speaking following a tour of Massey supermarkets this morning. He also used the occasion to appeal to supermarkets and retailers to lower their prices, acknowledging that importers were facing increased import costs after transportation company Seaboard Marine increased the U.S. domestic fuel charge from the major ports in the U.S. to the Caribbean. Sutherland, however, urged local retailers to do more.
I think those are some of the areas that we will have to focus on in terms of the import charges, the freight charges. But having said that, though, I still urge the supermarket owners to try their best to get to the pre-NSR prices. It may be challenging, but all of us are in this as a team, and we have to bear some of the burden in terms of absorbing some of the costs.
In other news now, as Barbados wraps up celebrations marking 16 days of activism against gender-based violence today, People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Minister Cynthia Ford says the island is in need of another home for victims of domestic violence. Ford addressed the issue as he spoke to members of the media today on the sidelines of a consultation on intimate partner violence at the UN House, Marine Gardens, Hastings, Christchurch. She says the current facility is inadequate as she expressed concern that there was no current data about the incidence of domestic violence or abuse. The minister stressed that if Barbados is to effectively fight the scourge of violence, domestic or otherwise, the country must have statistics to better tackle the problem. She also pointed out that statistics were important since international agencies are reluctant to lend funding if there is no data to analyze. St. Alban's Primary School has been honoring the memory of 9-year-old Azaria Worrell, who died from cancer last Thursday. The St. James-based institution has set up a special memorial where teachers, parents, and students can pay tribute to the former student who was diagnosed with leukemia back in May. Azaria's classmates eagerly shared their memories with Barbados Today.
Sometimes it don't feel real because how she was real young, and I miss that how she would laugh a lot and she would make up jokes. I think he was a nice person, and since she has been at the school with class 1, she used to share with me and I used to share with her, but she never stops caring for other people, and she's very nice to other people that are hurt, because when people are like for example, people that fell and get a cut, she would run and help them and take them to the classroom and all kinds of stuff. And she used to share snacks with people.
I'm sad, but I'm also happy because I know that she's going to another place. I don't miss that she was always ready to learn. She loved to color, and she will always be in my heart.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Welcome back with news from the region now in Jamaica. Buju Banton says his focus is music. The reggae superstar returned home last Friday after serving 8 years in a U.S. prison on drug-related charges. There are high expectations for Banton to resume his career, but some caution it won't be easy.
Buju Banton back on Jamaican soil. For fans and fellow entertainers alike, it was euphoric.
First night when we see him walk out of the plane and them have them videos there go through from him there in Georgia. Yeah, it's a nice vibe.
For reggae artist Tony Rebel, Buju's 8-year absence created musical anxiety for most, if not all, Jamaicans. There have been questions in some quarters, however, about the reception in Jamaica for a man incarcerated on drug charges.
Once you're a human, anything can happen to you, So if something happened to you and you overcome it, Jamaicans are people who are resilient people, and we love to see that in people. You know what I mean? And it was obvious that he demonstrated that he had stayed in a place of confinement, which for a lot of people, maybe they couldn't have done that for 9 days, much more 9 years. And he did that and him come forward. So people appreciate love that.
And on the international scene, British Prime Minister Theresa May today postponed a parliamentary vote on her Brexit deal to avoid a crushing defeat. In an emergency statement to the House of Commons, May conceded that the agreement she struck with the EU last month faced defeat by a significant margin of MPs tomorrow, but insisted it was the right deal. More in this report from Reuters Television.
We will therefore defer the vote scheduled for tomorrow.
And with that, Theresa May postponed Tuesday's UK Parliament vote on whether to approve her Brexit divorce deal.
Many of the most controversial aspects of this deal, including the backstop, are simply inescapable facts of having a negotiated Brexit. Those members who continue to disagree need to shoulder the responsibility of advocating an alternative solution that can be delivered.
The Prime Minister is effectively buying more time to deal with opposition to one of the most controversial points of the deal, namely the so-called backstop. That's the default customs arrangement designed to prevent a hard border between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, but which critics say would leave Britain forced to accept EU regulations indefinitely.
In complete disarray.
Opposition leader Jeremy Corbyn suggested she was wasting her time if she brought back the same deal.
Bringing back the same botched deal will not change its fundamental flaws and deeply held objections.
May's day began with an emergency call with her senior ministers, amid increasing certainty she would lose the vote if it went ahead as planned.
And that's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper email updates or like us on Facebook and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We are also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Now, you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic evening.